Today is July 25th, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, today is the 1 month and 1 day anniversary since the Supreme Court issued its Dobbs decision. June 24th, 2022, Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey were officially buried, overturned, overruled, scrapped by the U.S. Supreme Court and sent the issue back to the states. And that's where the battleground is right now. But I want to talk about a few things today. First, our Vice President, Kamala Harris, has begun touring the nation, visiting states, talking about abortion, trying to energize Democratic candidates, their campaigns as we approach the midterm elections. And we know the Democrats are wanting to use abortion as a hot button issue, since they can't really run on the economy or gas prices or the southern border or some of those other issues. They have to deflect from those, and to them, abortion is the issue they're going to latch onto to try to energize the base, energize the faithful. So, she's talking here about the fact that Republicans are extremists on abortion. And that's what I want to focus on, this idea of extremism. Protecting babies in the womb is extreme to the Democrats. That's extreme. Killing babies is not extreme. Killing babies is healthcare. Taking sterile instruments to chop up and dismember babies, that's healthcare. But if you want to save babies, if you want to protect babies, you want to give them a chance for life, for a future, that's extremism. That's radical extremism to the Democrats. But killing babies, celebrate. That is a wonderful thing for women to exercise their reproductive freedom, their bodily autonomy, to kill their unborn babies. That is celebrated. But those of us who want to stop that, we are the extremists. I find that a very convoluted argument, and it's another example of the insanity that is going on in our country, where right is wrong and wrong is right. It's just very frustrating to see our country, our great country, go down the tubes when it comes to basic morality, just basic morality. I even saw a little video clip where a woman was testifying before Congress, and she said that her abortion was an example of self-love. Well, boy, isn't that the truth? Self-love. Self-love. Whatever happened to love, self-control, self-sacrifice? Whatever happened to those social skills or those characteristics? Those are not important to self-love. Narcissism. When I think of self-love, I think of selfishness. It's all about me. And that's what the whole pro-choice movement is all about. It's all about me. It's not about the other person. It's not about the baby growing in the womb. It's about me. And I find that revolting, that we as a society have embraced this idea that it's all about me and it's not about the baby. Last week, in South Carolina, former Vice President Mike Pence spoke at a Baptist church talking about the Dobbs decision and abortion. And, he makes this comment that there's more of us who are pro-life than those on the other side. And to that, an MSNBC reporter went ballistic, and he he attacked Pence. Pence is absolutely wrong. He doesn't have his facts. He's just crazy to think that somehow there are more pro-lifers than pro-choicers. And he used as his proof opinion polls that say that the vast majority, or at least a majority of Americans, did not want the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. Well, that may or may not be true. And maybe even Pence's comment may or may not be true. But I'm convinced, and I think opinion polls bears this out, that most American citizens have never read the Roe v. Wade decision. They've never read it. And you've even seen comments or articles in newspapers saying that the Roe opinion legalized abortion in the first trimester. That is not true. The Supreme Court legalized abortion up to fetal viability, which in 1973, because of medicine, at the stage of medicine back then, 50 years ago, fetal viability was around 28 weeks. So it was only after the end of the second trimester, or at the onset of the third trimester, could states enact laws restricting abortion. Well, 28 weeks is not the same thing as 12 or 13 weeks. But Americans were confused about that. There's a lot of areas that the American voter has been misled by the press and by the media when it comes to abortion. We are one of 7 states, not states, 7 nations. We are one of 7 nations that have very, well, up until Dobbs, they had very restrictive abortion laws. Now, we're up there with those wonderful countries called China and North Korea, bastions of freedoms and civil liberties. We're with them. You look at the abortion laws in practically every European nation. Europe is considered this liberal continent with all these liberal countries, socialist countries. But in liberal Europe, abortion is legal only up to the end of the first trimester. Beyond that, it is not legal. So, the Mississippi law that was just, declared constitutional in the Dobbs decision, Mississippi took or banned abortion up to the 15th week of pregnancy, which is 2 or 3 weeks beyond what every country in Europe restricted. So, this idea that Americans are in love with Roe v. Wade is not true, because if Americans really knew what Roe v. Wade really said, they would oppose it. And then you got these states like New York and California that have legalized abortion practically to the due date. And a huge number of Americans do not support that. Okay. This past Wednesday, Wyoming will become the 14th state to ban most or all abortions. So let me just give you the Hall of Fame so far of states, the roll call of states. Missouri was the first state. I think that was like either the day Dobbs was decided or the day after Dobbs. So Missouri was first. South Dakota was number 2. Arkansas was number 3. Kentucky was number 4. Louisiana number 5. Ohio number 6. Utah was 7. Oklahoma was 8. Alabama 9. Mississippi was 10 this past week. South Carolina was 11. Texas was number 12. Tennessee was number 13. And Wyoming will be number 14. And we're hopefully the number of states will continue to grow in the coming months, including the state of Michigan. Last, on Sunday, Dr. Kristen Collier, who's a professor at the U of M Medical School, addressed incoming medical students and their parents at what's called the White Coat Ceremony. A few dozen students, as she approached the podium, a few dozen students and some of their parents abruptly left the auditorium to protest Dr. Collier, Well, why were they protesting her? It's because she is pro-life. And, even though she's a popular professor, about 340 medical students at U of M petitioned the school to not let her be the keynote speaker at this white coat ceremony. Well, the school, to their credit, said no, we're not. When she's been invited, she is not going to be canceled. The school allows for diverse views, and just because she's pro-life is no reason to cancel her. So she spoke, but several dozen students and their parents walked out in protest. I mentioned last week about U of M football coach Jim Harbaugh and his strong pro-life stance, his speech at a Right to Life dinner in the Detroit area. And, it's just another example here of people who are trying to cancel pro-life speakers, pro-life individuals, because of their views. What has happened to the First Amendment? The right of free speech. We have the right. I mentioned this before with the Harbaugh incident. We have the right to opinions. And if my opinion clashes with your opinion, that doesn't give you the right to cancel me. And if I don't like what you have to say, it doesn't give me the right to cancel you or to try to get you fired. We have to live in this country. And we have to agree that there are diverse opinions. There are conflicted opinions among the citizenry. And we have to respect that. We may disagree, but it doesn't give us the right to cancel or to fire them. And I remember back in 2020, I had a Donald Trump yard sign. And on 3 occasions, my yard sign was stolen from my yard. Fortunately, on the last occasion, I caught the thief. He was a kid on a bicycle. So, I asked him, why are you taking my sign? He couldn't give me a good reason. But no doubt his parents or an older sibling had talked him into it. We have to be able to live in this country together. If a person doesn't use the right pronouns, you can't fire. You should not be able to fire them. If a person is pro-life, you shouldn't cancel them. If a person is conservative, you shouldn't try to get them fired. If a person has contrary points of view, that's no reason to get them fired. So I'll leave you with that the First Amendment protects the right of American citizens to speak their mind, to get on their soapbox, and to declare their truth, their opinions. And we should not stop that. With that, don't forget, Tudor Dixon for governor, August 2nd, primary, Michigan primary, Tudor Dixon for governor, to get rid of Gretchen Whitmer, our horrible governor. With that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time.